This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, and you're listening to Python's Paradise, your film and music show. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And I got a wonderful guest on the phone. I've been waiting over a year to get her on here. I absolutely love her, and I first saw her in Pink Floyd The Wall. And I'm talking about the lovely, the beautiful, the talented Jenny Wright. How you doing, Jenny?
I'm doing great, Greg. Doing great.
I'm glad I got you on here. I've been trying to get you on here for a year, and I noticed on Facebook you were a little down. So I was like, man, I got to tell her how long I've been trying to get her on here and boost your spirits. You sound good today, though.
Yeah. Yeah. My spirits are good. My spirits are good. Just gone through a lot of changes in my life, and some days I take it on the chin, and some days, it breaks my heart. But my parents are getting older, and just it's life, Greg. It's life. It starts getting real when you hit your 50s.
Well, you know what? My parents aren't well right now either, so I kind of hear what you're saying there. I'm in my 40s, so I'm not that far behind you, but nonetheless, I just wanted to say before we started, like I said, I've been trying to get you for a year, and I want to say I think you're very valuable. I think that you're very talented, and what an honor this is for me to have you on here. I've done, you're my 31st cult film interview.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Well, I noticed you.
Busy.
Yeah. Well, I noticed you got Leslie Donaldson on your friends list, and I've had her on here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I I've been mostly focusing on my book, and I'm writing a book about an experience I had last year, which took me very far away from Hollywood into the mountains of in Southern California, where I lived off the grid for a year, and I'm writing a book about my experience um, uh, doing that, and
Yeah, that's a book I'd be very interested to purchase.
yeah, I was living with somebody who started to go a little mad. We were on 40 acres, and it was just the two of us, and we had no water and no electricity and no car. So we we set out in good spirits, and it became very increasingly difficult. And the stress of it brought out a lot of very bizarre behavior and interesting circumstances and harrowing experiences, and
Okay.
putting it all down on paper. And the book is it's almost done, and I don't think I'll have trouble finding a release for it. I really don't. Uh, I think it's the kind of material that people really gobble up. It's the kind of story you wish you could tell, but it's even better if it's somebody else.
Well, I know you've been through a lot, and I'm really glad that you're a survivor and you're a winner in my book, and yeah, I'm very, very much interested in that book. You say it's almost done, huh?
Yeah, it's almost done, and then I have to do an edit, and I'm gonna be sending copy out probably within the next 2 weeks. I'm gonna be sending pieces of it out to different publishers. And
Okay.
maybe when the book is, when I do get a publisher and get some kind of a release date, I could come back on and we could talk more in depth about the book.
Yes, I'm more than happy to have you come back on
Thank you.
and
Pieces of it so that you could read it, and then you could actually we could talk about some of the things that happened in depth. I think that would make an interesting show, not just because it's my experience, but just because it's an interesting show. A lot of people are living off the grid and or have, and yet also a lot of people are experiencing homelessness, and which is not necessarily a happy thing, but it brings with it a lot of interesting experiences and life enhancing experiences. To say that there's a force that carries us through things that are more difficult than what we think we can handle is understating it. To say it's an understatement.
yes. Well, you know what? I'm going to go back over the films that we talked about from your
Okay.
career. And like I said, I know I had you on here before and you were a bit under the weather.
I was asleep.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like, I really appreciate you wanting to come back on here. It shows that you respect me, and I know you sense that I'm very interested in you as well. So, yeah, I wanted
I
you.
absolutely respect you and your endeavor to do what you're doing, and your tenacious nature to get me on your show.
Yeah.
I have to respect that because I have a lot of that in me too. That's how I got to be in all those movies. I wouldn't let them say no.
No, and you're well worth it too. Like I said, I first saw you in Pink Floyd The Wall, but we're going to start off with The World According to Garp, where you played Cushy. How did you get that part?
Well, interestingly enough, that part was the role that got me my Screen Actors Guild card. I wasn't yet a member, and the woman that cast that movie is sort of the grand dame of casting directors, Marianne Dougherty, who's passed. She's
Okay.
since passed. She was in her 50s or 60s at that time, but she recognized that she thought I was kind of funny and quirky, and that I had presence, and she thought I'd make a fine actor, and she put it out there and got me my Screen Actors Guild card, which at that time you had to do a certain amount of hours of. I mean, it was almost like I don't know. You had to put in all these intern hours to get your Screen Actors Guild card, and I had done off Broadway, and but I hadn't done a film yet, and it was the catch-22 of you can't do a film till you've done a film, and I was able to bypass that and go ahead and be in that movie, and it was quite a send-off. It was a it was a good little debut.
Yeah, and you worked with George Roy Hill, of course, was famous for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. What was he like as a director?
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's
And
no.
we remained friends. I saw him about 4 years ago when I gave Catherine Bigelow her Directors Guild Award for Near Dark.
Yes.
She being the first woman to ever have received that award. He was also there, and I was sitting next to him, and we reacquainted ourselves, and it was just really nice to see him, and he was hadn't changed a bit.
No.
Hadn't changed a bit. I don't think people do change that much, really, over time.
Nope.
I don't think they do.
Well, I know there's some actresses I've had on here, like I've had Lisa Langlois on here, I've had Leslie Donaldson on here, and they haven't changed a whole lot. I still think they're stunning, and I still think you're stunning too.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have my good days.
Yeah. Well,
I
George,
have my horrible days too. Right, Alan?
Yeah.
there you go. Well, George Roy Hill, I don't think he's with us anymore, is he?
No.
Yeah, I think
No.
he passed away. And speaking of passing away, you know, it was so sad when we lost Robin Williams. What was he like to work with?
Robin was great. He had enough spirit in him to just make the whole room, the energy in the room would change when he'd walk into it.
Yeah.
Everybody would brighten up. He just had an enormous amount of charm and was very, very, very smart. Very smart. I mean, to be that funny, you have to really be very bright.
Yes,
And he
very
was.
gifted.
And incredibly gifted.
Yeah, I think I had mentioned to you before with Leslie Donaldson when he passed away. They started a campaign called Doubtfire Face, which is you take a pie in the face for suicide and depression. And I've dealt with depression in my own life, not to the point of suicide, mind you, but I've dealt with it, and it's a hard thing to deal with, especially since society almost seems to pass it off. And I did one of those campaigns. I took a pie in the face, and I nominated some of the people I had interviewed, and I was so delighted that Lisa Langlois answered, and she did a video. And she took a pie in the face, and she nominated some of her fellow Canadian comedians. And Leslie Donaldson said she's going to do it. She doesn't know when, but she said she definitely wants to do it. And Deborah Shelton said she's going to do it. And I was talking to Stefan Arngrim recently, and he said he knows you. And
He's a dear friend of mine.
well, he's going to do Doubtfire Face too, and I think he said he's going to nominate you.
Oh no, he better not. He's one of my favorite people. I adore him. He's one of the brightest people I've ever met. Incredibly well read and a brilliant writer, as well as a very gifted musician. But yeah, a pie in the face, huh? What kind of pie?
Well, I'll get back to Stefan for a second. Stefan, I've interviewed him and Lisa Langlois and Mary Lynn Ross, all from the movie Class of 1984, which was filmed here in Canada, and I was 10 years old when that came out. And Stefan, really great guy, and he had mentioned that he knew you, and he said good things about you too. But I've had him on, I've had him on the show here, and I actually interviewed him 2 days ago, actually. But it would have been.
No way.
Yeah, well, it would have been after. Like I originally had you on I think it was May 19th. That's when I'm going to date this interview, you know, because it's going to replace the other one. But I had you on, and then there was 3 other interviews I had behind you, and one of them was Stefan Arngrim, and he said, yeah, he and his fiance, I think, are going to do Doubtfire Face, and he said when I mentioned you to him because he lives in the New York area, and I mentioned, yeah, Jenny Wright's from New York area, and he had said some kind words about you.
Yeah.
But basically what you do is my video is about 8 minutes, but I'm not an actor. Lisa's was so good. Hers was about 40 seconds and right to the point. Basically, you get in front of the camera and you mention your name, and it's called Doubtfire Face from Mrs. Doubtfire, Robin Williams, and it's for suicide, depression. What you do is you nominate 3 people, and I'm trying to get the industry involved. the way they were at the Ice Bucket Challenge, because that's where people really pay attention. Because when Lisa Langlois did it, she got over, I put the video on my YouTube page and it got over 500 hits within a week.
What do you mean it's for suicide and depression? Is it for awareness?
Yeah.
Or prevention? Or what is it actually promoting?
It's for awareness for suicide and depression. And
Awareness. Okay.
yeah. And what you do is you say your name and you say you're doing this for the Doubtfire Face for suicide prevention. You just look that up on the internet, and it's under Doubtfire Face. It wasn't started by me, but it was done after Robin Williams had passed. And it was based kind of on the scene in Mrs. Doubtfire where he sticks his face in the cake there when he's in the refrigerator.
Right.
Yeah, and that was where they got it. And what you do is you nominate 3 people to take a pie in the face, and you challenge them to do so, and for them to nominate 3 people. And you just, you take a pie in the face. You can either pie yourself or have somebody pie you.
Oh, I'll have Alan pie me.
There you go. You sound like you're... Yeah, and then you put the video up, and if you send me the link to the video, I'll have it put on my YouTube page as well. And that's really good. I'm really trying to get the industry involved the way they did with the Ice Bucket Challenge for ALS. So I'm like, I think it's just a really great thing. Because you hear so much with celebrities, Twitter wars and all that kind of crap, and something like this brings people together in a very positive way that benefits people.
We'll do it. We'll send you a link. I will email you a short video in the near future.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you, Alan. And thank you, Jenny, for being such a good sport about it. I know Stefan Arngrim said he's going to do it. He said, "Oh yeah, I'll nominate Jenny." But maybe you might even beat him to it.
He knows I'll hate it. I'll hate it.
Well, you're a good sport, and besides, it's for a good cause,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would never say it to you as an insult. I think you're very beautiful, and I'd never say it to you as an insult. So there you go.
I'll take one for the team.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Jenny.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But in addition to Robin Williams, you had some other names in that movie, like Mary Beth Hurt. She was in World According to Garp. She's still working. And Glenn Close.
Right. A lot of these actors have gone on to do theater.
Yeah.
More theater actors now.
John Lithgow was in that, and Hugh Cronin and Jessica Tandy both in it as well.
Right. That's right. I love them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that movie was very big, and then you went on to do the movie that I first discovered you in, and that was Pink Floyd The Wall. And that movie's very popular here, and I gotta say, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is where you play the groupie, and you go up to Bob Gidel's hotel room there. And I gotta be honest with you, when I watch that scene, I'm like, if I had the pleasure of having the company of a woman as lovely and stunning as you, the last thing I'm gonna do is start throwing wine bottles at you. I might pour you a glass.
Right. Yeah, he really freaked out. It was scary. He really freaked out too. He didn't give me any time to think. I just had to react and get out of the way. And recently somebody asked me on my Facebook page if I felt that that scene, if I felt in any way that scene was depictive of violence towards women in movies. And, I didn't at the time, and my response to his inquiry was that that I didn't, because I didn't think that was what the scene was addressing. His rage was really abstract.
Yes.
And, she was really just happened to be what was in the room. He would have destroyed the room if she had been there had she not.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I didn't feel that it was pertinent, but I understood the question, and I do think that women are often in film put in these type scenes are written into movies just for the the minor get off factor that all movies want to sort of, or a lot of commercial movies want they want to have in their film. They want to have these little blasts of action, and I think women are often at the tail end of that. At the end of the day, abused.
Yeah.
In one sense or another, and in much to that calling is reasons why I left the business. It wasn't entirely intellectual. A lot of it was instinctive, but my feeling was that the roles that were coming in were not balanced well enough for me not to feel foolish doing them.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And you're better than that, too.
Yeah, I felt I was getting pigeonholed a little bit, and I think women in general in the 80s and 90s were getting pigeonholed, and I just I couldn't help but feel, there's this general overall feeling of people talk to me. There's a feeling like you should be grateful for any role that you get in a movie, period. Like that's the end all thing. You should just be grateful. And I found that I wasn't at the end of the day. And that's when I decided, I took Lauren Bacall's advice, who told me when I was a very young actress, when you stop enjoying it, you stop doing it.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's what I did.
Yeah,
I was doing a play down in Greenwich Village that her son was in, Sam Robards, and she came up to me after the show and thought I had done a lovely job and imparted that little bit of advice to me, and I took it to heart. I did. I stepped out when the stepping out was good, which was the last film that I actually did was The Lawnmower Man. And I can't say that I necessarily enjoyed working on that film. I didn't not enjoy it. It was becoming monotonous. The superficiality of the parts that I was being offered. Yeah. You got all that?
Yeah. Well, in Pink Floyd The Wall, did you do your own stunts in that? Like they really, I don't imagine they actually threw a wine bottle at you. It must have been a breakaway something, huh?
No, it was all real, and yes, all I did was run for my life.
Okay. Well, what was it like working with Bob Geldof?
Bob Geldof is a very talkative man. He's a man of ideas. He went on to do the World Hunger Tours, and I think he has been an important figure in rock history. he went on to do more than I thought he would.
Did you have a favorite Pink Floyd song?
I don't know, what's your favorite Pink Floyd song, Alan? Alan's is The Wall. Mine is Comfortably Numb.
Oh, both are good, yeah. I like The Wall a lot, too,
Yeah, The Wall is a really good song.
I love that image in the film. You get all these people walking, all these students, and they all have the same expression on their face, and they're all falling into that grinder, and there's quite a message being said there about, yeah. And of course, Pink Floyd The Wall, you were being directed by Alan Parker, and wow, what a director for musicals, having made fame just before Pink Floyd The Wall. And he made Bugsy Malone, and he also did other movies like Midnight Express, and he went on to do Evita, and very good director of musicals. What was he like?
Well, Alan Parker is a brilliant director. He is he's good with musicals and with big scene productions. He's not a great actor's director. He doesn't like to sit down and talk about the characters.
Okay.
He's not big on that. He more likes you to come on set, hopefully with the same ideas in mind, and kind of put it all in the pot. But he is a very talented director indeed. What did you ask, Alan? Did he do what?
Commitment.
Oh yes, I've heard of that one. Yep.
Soul band. Yeah, it's very good. I would recommend it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I definitely have heard of it. Yes. Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I love Pink Floyd The Wall, and that was where I first saw you, and then after that you did a film called Wildlife for Art Linson, and you played Elaine. What was your experience like in that film?
Well, what was funny, that movie was pretty abstract for me because I didn't have a lot of young adult experience in those suburban type environments like high school. I took my GED when I was 15 and was acting in the business at 16, and never worked at a regular job, or had a best friend that worked at a donut shop, or anything like that. So all of that was, for me, it was all make believe. That was acting.
Yeah, and you worked with Chris Penn was in that. He's unfortunately no longer with us.
Yeah, Chris, he really passed away much too young.
Yes, he did. And Eric Stoltz is in that as well.
Yep.
Yeah, any memories of him?
Eric he's a terribly sweet guy, very talented, soft-spoken, has great manners. He's very soft-spoken and he delivers a performance. He doesn't make much of himself.
Yeah, I get that sense. Yeah. And of course, Lea Thompson in that as well. And Lea Thompson's daughter has become quite an accomplished actor, Zoe Dush, who I just saw in Everybody Wants Some. And they both, she's got her mother's eyes, Zoe does. And of course, Lea was very, very striking too. You got any memories of Lea Thompson?
None at all.
None at all. And of course, Rick Moranis was also in that movie. This was just the year before he did Ghostbusters, where he was chased by that demonic dog.
Right, and he's still acting. He's still making a fortune. He made more working one day than we all made working 4 months. Comedians make a lot of money when they come in and do small bit parts. They are often paid quite well. But he was very professional, and it was fun to work with him. He's not really that funny in real life, but he was funny in the movie, or his hair was funny anyway.
Yeah.
What happened with me is I grew up in the street kid in New York. My mother, I come from a single parent family. My mother worked full time, so I was a latchkey kid, and I grew up tough streets of New York. And then they shipped me to Hollywood and put me in all these marshmallow movies, and I just tried to find my way. Did the best that I could. I've recently been, admitting that, I felt a great deal of my experience and what I could have done much better was never realized because the material that was being made at that time was very white, middle class, suburban, sort of. I don't know.
Okay.
I had a grittier sense of the world, and thus I went into a more. My social calendar was made up of going to punk rock clubs and after-hour clubs, and listening to music.
Okay.
And listening to, going out to listen to music every night. That was what I liked to do. I had my friends were painters and writers, and I didn't have a lot of friends that were actors. And it was almost as if I couldn't relate to the lifestyle that it took to be a mainstream actor, where you had to do the lunches at the Vine and all the lunches with the agents and the schmoozing and this and that, and it wasn't really my style. It wasn't, and so I have a varied experience of Hollywood in general. I think in some ways I'm lucky I worked as much as I did, and in other ways I feel that I didn't work as much as I should have.
I agree, yes. After Wildlife, you get into the John Hughes sector. You were in St. Elmo's Fire. Did you like working with John Hughes? I know he wasn't the director of that, but...
I don't remember ever having met John Hughes.
Oh, okay. Well, I know Joel Schumacher was the director of St. Elmo's Fire, and that had one of these great young cast in it, and Emilio Estevez and Andrew McCarthy, Rob Lowe, Judd Nelson, Ali Sheedy, Demi Moore, Mara Winningham, and of course Andy McDowell, and of course you were in amongst that as well. What was your experience like?
What was I doing in that movie?
What's that?
What was I doing in that movie?
You know what? I'll be frank with you. I have not seen St. Elmo's Fire, but I was looking up some clips of you on the internet before I previously talked to you, And I know you had a scene with Rob Lowe, and you had a baby in a carriage, and you were chatting with him, and
Right. Well, I remember what I was doing in the movie, but I mean, what was I doing in that movie? I was an outsider in that movie. I was Rob Lowe's a girl that he had gotten pregnant in college, and he wasn't, and married, and he wasn't living up to his responsibilities. He wanted to party with his friends.
yeah.
This again was a scenario that I had no frames of reference for, and was pulling rabbits out of hats, basically, to make it seem real. I was just what-ifing.
It worked.
It worked. I mean, I did a good job. It worked. And, maybe more actors do that than I know. Maybe, oops. But I mean, we don't all live our experiences and then go and make a movie about them. But there are certainly parts of my life that I've talked with other people about that have also had those same experiences that we would have made great movies also.
Yeah. After that, you switched gears a little bit, and you was in a movie called Out of Bounds with Anthony Michael Hall, directed by Richard Tuggle. What was your experience like with that?
Well, Anthony is bipolar.
Yeah.
So that was what my experiences was like with that. It was fun because we got to run around in Hollywood, which is where I live, and there were some underground club scenes that were fun to do because they were fun. Susie and the Banshees was a band that I really liked.
Oh, yes.
They were in the movie, and I got to meet them. And but the movie was a little bit bipolar. It started one way, and we went on Christmas vacation and came back, and the tone of the movie had changed somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I can only say that Michael was a little bit difficult to work with. He became very withdrawn, and he made it hard on everybody.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a reputation there at the time, going through some issues, yes.
Yeah. Well, I got to live through that. That wasn't too much fun, but I was sure he was having less fun with it than we were. So, at the end of the day, we could all go home and laugh about it, and he had to go home and live with it. So, so there it is there.
Well, after that, you did a movie called Chocolate War, and it was directed by Keith Gordon. Keith Gordon. Yeah, Keith Gordon was an actor as well. He was in Dressed to Kill and Christine and Back to School. And he also became an accomplished director. Did you like working with him?
Very much so. He was a good friend.
Oh, yeah.
For me, and he had always envisioned that that he would direct me in a film, and that part was perfect. So, that was just a little quick short thing that I did, but it was a big thing for Keith, a success. I feel for him. I think he did a great job.
Yes, he's really come a long way, and both on screen and off. It's great to see how far he's come. But then, not too long after that, you did a film that I know this is one of your favorite films, and I know a lot of people love this movie as well. And yes, it is a great movie, Near Dark for Catherine Bigelow. You know, I was just talking to, like I said, Stefan Arngrim was in Strange Days, which was a Catherine Bigelow film, and.
Yes.
Yeah, and you were in Near Dark, and I know you enjoyed that experience. Talk about that.
No, I did. I had fun on that. I really liked the actors that she chose to be in the film. Uh, we were all kind of like-minded, dedicated actors, more to the character than you know, to sort of creating stories about ourselves on the set, and and so a good film got made.
Improv in that.
And it was all, it was almost all improv, which Alan just added. He said, and you all improv. We did. We would set up the scene. We'd set the scene, and then she'd let us improv. Do improv on it, and we worked as a good ensemble cast. There was a wonderful casting job.
Yeah, and that was a bit bigger part than what we usually see you in, too. Like, you were right up there, like front row center, kind of, you know?
As well, I should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, well, that movie's got a lot of fans here, and
Her and Bill Paxton were the stars of that film.
Bill Pack. Yeah, and Lance Hendrickson was also in that
Yeah.
as well.
I think the three of them.
Lance was wonderful in that.
Yes.
He's
But
just a consummate, performer. He really takes on his characters. Really takes on his characters. That was the first movie that I felt I was allowed to be emotional in any real kind of a way, even though it was such a otherworldly kind of experience, any otherworldly type of reality. I was able to be emotional in it.
Same emotions, regardless.
The same emotions, yeah, in this other reality, and I appreciated that. I really, the end of the day, when I was finished with that movie, I felt really good. And when they asked me and Bill Paxton to give Catherine her Directors Guild Award, I was honored. And Martha Coolidge announced, she introduced me to the audience, and she said that she felt that my performance was nothing less than brilliant.
yes.
That was the only kudos that I really got from that film. I didn't go on the internet until probably 4 years ago. So I didn't know people were looking for me, or that the film had gotten as much attention as it had gotten. And that was my own little Academy Award. It was really Catherine's, but it was an acknowledgement of the fact that good work had been done. And,
Yes.
and that was really, that was what I needed. I felt completed at that point. I realized that I would never return to acting, that I have nothing more to give it, and were I to ever be involved in a movie, it would be on as a producer or a director. the book that I'm writing would make a terrific screenplay. And
You should do that, yeah.
yeah, and we'll see where it goes. I have a lot of friends still in the industry I've kept in touch with, and they've just been waiting for me to do something, and they don't have to wait much longer.
I'm waiting for you.
Well, you don't have to wait much longer.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming, but you don't have to wait much longer.
Yeah. Well, I know on Facebook I sent you like a couple of messages. Like I think I first approached to contact you last year, and I finally got your attention. I was like, yes, I had to post on your wall, but I finally got your attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I followed it how closely I was following it at that time.
Yeah.
I go on Facebook periodically. I'll have a day or two where I'll kind of be stuck on it, and then I'll leave it alone for a week, and then I'll get stuck on it again. But
she hasn't been ignoring you. She just really started being more on Facebook more very recently.
Yeah. Well, no, I never thought I was being ignored, but sometimes it's hard to get people's attention. Like you're my 31st cult film interview, and sometimes people ignore me, and sometimes I get people with Facebook or websites, anything. It's hit and miss trying to get people's attention, and some people are intimidated for interviews because I know people have been burned. I try to treat all my guests with respect. I've never had a bad interview. I don't know how good I am. I try to do my best, but I try to give people a chance to tell their story and promote their work because we live in a day and age of Netflix, so people hear some of these titles that you were in and they'll check them out, or so send some more business your way. Plus, you get to promote your book as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also make medicine dolls. They're like voodoo dolls, but they're filled with herbs and medicinal type herbs, basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm getting more into that. That's my next. That's a venture that I've started that I'm really interested in.
You got a couple other films I got to mention here briefly. Young Guns 2. I remember seeing that in the theaters back in 1990, and you were in that. You enjoyed that, huh?
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. The costumes were fun. The westerns are, westerns are. I don't know. It was fun. They flew me in. I did my couple days work, and everyone was great. Peter Sutherland was a bit of a toad, but
Yeah.
he probably just needed a drink.
And of course, Emilio Estevez, who was in St. Elmo's Fire, he's in that. Yeah.
Always charming and nice. Always a consummate professional.
Yeah. Yeah, Young Guns 2.
Well,
And then you, of course, were in Lawnmower Man, which wasn't your best experience, huh?
Well, I'd had enough. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
The noon fire alarm sound. We have a noon fire alarm to wake everybody up.
Gee, and you think some people might want to sleep.
Yeah. Well, it's been really nice talking to you. We've gone over all these films, and I feel like I'm 100 years old. How did I do all of that and lead a life alongside it? But there were also all the TV shows and the plays and the other things that I did along with the movies that I made.
What was your favorite TV show to do?
My favorite TV I did was with Tony Randall.
Okay.
And it was a two-part pilot called Love Sydney.
Okay.
And that was back in the very early 80s, or in the mid-80s. The mid-80s, yeah. And I played a little street runaway that he takes into his... Now, there goes the train, right?
That's okay. That's okay.
That's the three-car train that goes through our town.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Randall was always a champion of mine. He was always telling me to go further, go farther, do more. You can do it. And I used to run into him on the streets in New York, and he'd want to know everything I was doing, and he was always very interested. And when he had a part that he felt he could put me on his show, he did, and it was a really wonderful guest spot. It was a two-part, hour-long TV pilot. So, it was a lot of exposure for a young actress, and he was very popular back then. It was right after he had done The Odd Couple. He had just come off of that.
Yes.
He was opposite of his persona on The Odd Couple. He was very generous man.
Yeah. Alan, you say you know somebody that's from New Brunswick here, huh?
Well, my grandfather was from New Brunswick.
Wow.
He moved to Drummondville, Eastern Townships eventually, but when he was younger, and I have an aunt or two that live out that way somewhere.
Yeah.
I haven't gone there. My brother has a house in Nova Scotia, so.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Trailer Park Boys? Because that's about the closest we have to celebrities here.
Yeah, I'm not. I know what you're talking about. I'm not that familiar.
Yeah. No.
I'll check it out now that you mention it.
Yeah.
Who are they?
They're kind of our Cheech and Chong. They're Ivan Reitman produced their first movie. They've just completed their 11th successful season. It's a comedy show. It's about three marijuana or weed smokers from a trailer park, and they're getting into all kinds of shenanigans, and I think the show is in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And there's 3 movies based on the show, and they're all good. Like I said, Ivan Reitman produced the first movie. And they did a spin-off to it called SwearNet, which has gone down in the World Book of Records as having the most uses of the F word.
Oh, my God.
I'm a big fan of the Kids in the Hall.
Oh, I like them. Brain Candy? That was hilarious. Yeah, Brain Candy was terrific. I remember that. I saw that in the theater when that came out. Yeah. Well, you know what, Jenny? I'm so glad that I was able to have you come back on. You do sound better. And I wanted to tell you, I really appreciate you. I know you've had you've had some trying times, but I really, I tried hard to get you on here, and I'm honored to have you come on my show. And when your book comes out, absolutely, you can come back on and promote that.
I think the book's going to be a success, so it'll be good for both of you, I think. So let's hope.
Yeah. And of course, I already put in a request for an autographed picture, of course, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah. And when you do the Doubtfire phase, if I may request, see if you can nominate some people in the industry.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to try to get that viral. There's no financial gain for me, this is not, I'm just doing it to help out. I've been through the ringer when it comes to depression, so I know that, and I figure, if people are going to watch these videos, they want to see people from the industry do it, because that's where all the hits. When I did my video only had like 70 hits within a month. when Lisa did hers, 500 within a week. So, like I said, people will definitely watch people from the industry. So, I thank you for accepting that challenge. And never know, you might get yours done before Stefan challenges you. You might beat him to it.
Oh my God. Okay. All
Um,
right.
Listen, before you go, of course, I'm going to put this podcast this out next week, and I will send you the link, and you can post it wherever you want to.
Okay.
And I'm eventually going to put this on YouTube, and I think I asked you before. You gave me permission to use like headshots of you to go along with the audio, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, it won't be on YouTube probably till later on in the year. Like I said, I just launched my YouTube page. You just look up my name, Greg Gilbert, and Python's Paradise, and you'll find it. I've right now got 5 interviews on there and 2 of the Doubtfire Face challenges, but I'm putting 1 interview a week on there, and I'm hoping that people watch them and enjoy them and subscribe, And yeah, but your interview, I'm going to have that come on here next week. I'll even send you a link to the station, because we're an hour ahead of you. So my show's on Sunday evenings at 8 o'clock, so that would be 7 o'clock your time. So maybe you'll be able to tune in and listen to it live stream.
Maybe I will do that.
Yeah, I'll play that in here. And another thing, too, I was just wondering before you go if you would do a plug for my show.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah,
like Gilbert with Python's Paradise.
Yeah, just
Python, Hyena.
There you go. I love African wildlife, Just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert in Python's Paradise in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Can you do that?
Yeah, this is Jenny Wright, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert at Python's Paradise in New Brunswick, Canada.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you, Alan, for sitting in, and it was nice to talk to you. And Jenny, I absolutely love you, and anytime you're feeling down, I want you to remember some guy in New Brunswick went out of his way for a year to try to hunt you down for an interview. So you're valuable here.
Oh, thanks, Greg. Love you too.
Yes, and I look forward.
I'll holler when the book's done.
Yes, and you're more than welcome to come on here to promote your book, and you got my mailing address for the autograph, huh?
I do. I did. I got that.
Perfect. I think you're beautiful, and I thank you so much for coming on here, Jenny. God bless you.
And thanks for the interview. It was very nice.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.